Hi, welcome. I'm Helmut Licht. Thank you for joining me for this video number 14 in a series of videos entitled My God, Here, There, Everywhere. Please remember that all my reasoning is based on the following 5 statements. Time is the measure of change. In other words, for us to perceive time, something has to change. The return of the same season tells us that 1 year has gone by. The seasons change every 3 months. Each time the moon is full, again, close to a month has gone by. The quarters of the moon give us the weeks. When the sun rises, a new day begins, and when he sets, half the day has passed. Our watch gives us even smaller units of change in time, hours, minutes, and seconds. Digital watches give us even 1/10 and 1/100th of a second. But whether the green leaves of summer turn to golden ones of fall, cool winds of autumn turn to icy ones of winter, whether white snows of winter change to cold waters of spring, or buds of spring change to flowers of summer, it is change from something into something else which allows us to tell time. Time as we know it is always considered with respect to us. One revolution of the earth around the sun takes one of our years. One revolution of the moon around the earth takes roughly one of our months. The earth makes one complete revolution around its axis in one of our days. For the sake of experimentation, let us establish a division of time which is independent of any particular planet or watch. Let us say, first of all, that we call a year that time span which it takes something to circle once around something else. Let us also work from the larger unit to the smaller ones. Accordingly, a sun year would be the time it takes the sun and its solar system to circle once around its galactic center. An Earth year would be the time it takes the Earth, and with her the Moon, to circle once around the Sun. A moon year would be the time it takes the Moon to circle once around the Earth. The next smallest unit, where something circles around something else, occurs at the atomic level, where the electrons revolve around the nucleus. One such circling would constitute an electron year. The next smallest unit, where something circles around something else, occurs at the atomic level, where the electrons revolve around a nucleus. One such circling would constitute an electron year. At this point, we have 4 different years: the sun year, the moon year, the earth year, and the electron year. The Earth might say, gee, is that sun slow? It takes him 250 million years to circle once around its galactic center. And it takes me only 1 year to circle around my center, the sun. About the moon, on the other hand, Mother Earth might say, wow, look at that moon. It takes her only 1 of my months to accomplish the same thing I do in 1 year. The galaxy is a unit of consciousness. So is the Earth, likewise the moon, and also the atom. Compared to each other, some are naturally slower than others, and some are faster, as shown in the previous paragraph. In pure time, however, every consciousness and unit of consciousness operates within its own personal time. If the moon promised the Earth something in 1 year, the Earth would receive it in 1 month, which is 1 moon year. If, on the other hand, the Earth promised the moon something in 1 year, the moon would get it in 12 of her years. Suppose you had 3 watches, one with only an hour hand, one with only a minute hand, and one with only a second hand. Suppose also that you are able to communicate with these hands. You position them each at the number 12 and tell them to go once around the dial and then stop when they reach 12 again. The second hand would stop in 1 minute, the minute hand would in 1 hour, and the hour hand would stop in 12 hours. Each one of them performed the exact same task, circled the dial one time, but each one of them took a longer or shorter amount of your time. After all three hands completed the circle, you might say to the hour hand, "Gee, it took you 24 hours to do what it took the minute hand only 1 hour, and what the second hand accomplished in 1 minute." The hands would not understand your statement, as they only know their own time and are unaware of any other hands and their respective speeds of motion. If every one of the three watches would call one revolution of its hand 1 year, then every watch would say, and rightly so, "It took me 1 year to accomplish the circle." This is what I meant by individual time. It seems the larger the consciousness unit gets, the slower its time becomes with respect to a smaller unit. Seen from our perspective, it takes the sun longer to complete one circle around its galactic center than it takes the moon to circle around the Earth. Vice versa, the smaller a consciousness unit becomes, the faster its time becomes with respect to a larger unit. It takes an electron less time to complete one revolution around its nucleus than it takes the moon to circle once around the Earth. A consciousness unit such as you and I have our own specific and personal time, but we must also adapt to the time of mankind as such, our normally accepted clock time. And we must learn to recognize that the units of consciousnesses within us, such as our organs, also have their own time. A 68-inch person will move and walk slower than a 54-inch person. Should they, however, both be marching in a parade, they would both adjust their own normal tempo to that of a larger group, the parade. All different times, the very slow sun time, the less slow moon time, our time, the super fast electron time, are interdependent and would all stop should one of them stop. To explain this, let's go back to our 3 clock hands, and this time put them all on one dial. They are still to stop when they get back to the number 12. Naturally, the second hand would complete its journey first and would stop moving after 1 minute. The moment it stops, though, all other hands would also stop moving, because if no hands collapse, no minutes can elapse. If no minutes elapse, no hours can elapse, etc. Time seems to depend on size. The larger the consciousness unit, the slower the time with respect to smaller units, and vice versa. I'm wondering at this point whether a spacecraft orbiting around the Earth would become part of a separate consciousness, and whether a spacecraft traveling through space would do the same. If we could transport our consciousness to the level of an electron, we would age and develop 1 year each time the electron revolves once around its nucleus. If we would stay there for 100 electron years and then return to our own level, we would have gained the wisdom and experience of 100 electron years while having aged only a tiny fraction of a second in our time. We do not have the ability yet, but our consciousness can move around between time zones. Infinite intelligence operates on all time zones simultaneously. We cannot imagine this, but as my God is only one and infinite, macrocosmically as well as microcosmically speaking, a nanosecond to him is as long and short as 1 billion years. Let's consider ourselves as a reference point and look at the world around us from our perspective. We find that by doing so, we divide everything in two. There is a world larger than us and smaller than us, faster than us and slower than us. There are people who are taller than us and shorter than us, better than us and worse than us, richer and poorer, heavier and lighter, etc. Before you go, I would like to show you a few pieces of my art. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you for your interest, and I will see you in my next video. Have a wonderful day.